So next up is Kolkata Knight Riders, the two-time champions and the last year finalists. How do you think they went about?
If you look at just Kolkata as such, you would expect something really big from them. You would expect them to do really well. I don't know what their auction strategy was, obviously, but they went on really some really heavy money players. Shreyas Iyer, Nitish Rana, they paid quite a lot of money. Pat Cummins, they wanted to buy back, which is fine. Shivam Mavi, they wanted to buy back, which is fine. But at those price points, I don't know if their auction is kind of, if you look at the top seven or the six, seven guys over here, constitutes a lot of their budget. And they had to make up a lot with the kind of fringe players, which is where I think they bought a lot of overseas buys towards the end of the auction. So if we look at that, they bought 3.556 for 6 crores. They bought 4 overseas players. 6.5 they bought 5 overseas players. So that's the kind of budgets you're looking at. That was KKR strategy. Again, they missed a keeper, and that's I don't know if that's going to affect them in the long run. They had to make do with Sheldon Jackson finally, or unless Alex Hales keeps. Who knows? That could be an option, but I don't know if you want to burden a player like Hales to do that. That is where their combination kind of takes a hit. You have to play Sam Billings now because of that, and that may prevent Alex Hales from playing, which might have some kind of avalanche effect. So boils down to the first 11. If their best 11 plays, they have a very, very formidable team. A lot of unknown people. We don't know which Rahane is going to turn up. A lot of these challenges are going to be there. So if Rahane, maybe if he really give some good starts like what he did for Pune, then maybe again you're looking at a different team. Overall, I would say they kind of had to do a lot of making up in the auction due to the kind of money spent. But their first 11 looks good.
It's typical KKR strategy, right? Like they go after the stars. Like I think they paid 15 crores to Cummins in a previous auction and others as well. One thing which kind of struck out for me now, thinking back now, Varun Chakravarthy retaining for 12 crores, that does not feel like the right move now, at least like a few months down the line, right? So definitely, like if you look at the other teams and the retained players, you can say okay, that's close to fair, but this seems pretty inflated now. So do you think that will kind of bite them back in the long run, or do you feel like he can get back to what he was?
So they've been a big fan of mystery spinners. You've seen them buy Sachita Senanayake. I think they bought Ajanta Mendes also, right? If I remember right. So at that point in time when they had to make these decisions, both Iyer and Varun were very good propositions. Maybe Varun, for example, in auction wouldn't have gone for so much. They could have saved some money there and maybe retained a Gill. I still think that's a mistake from their point of view. Varun wouldn't have gone for the kind of money you think he has gone for, unless you kind of see more performances from him. His stock fell a bit after the T20 World Cup. Now he's not even part of the Indian setup. Yeah, they've taken a gamble there. They've also taken a gamble with Russell and Narine, and if they don't deliver, then I think they'll look to move on from them.
Now let's move on to the playing 11.
Let me first put the 11 I want, and then we'll figure out what can kind of change. I want Hales and Iyer at the top.
Then who's your number 3?
Nitish Rana, Shreyas Iyer. So we'll come to the other slots in a bit. So just add Russell, Cummins, Narine, Mavi, Varun.
Narine can open. He somehow found his touch in BPL.
Yeah, that's a plan they've tried and tested. Yeah, they can do that. Yes, they do have that option always.
You want to play Nabi in the first 11, right?
No. Russell, Narine, Cummins.
Okay, and then Indian bowlers.
Shivam
Mavi. Okay, he can actually bat, so that helps too.
And Varun Chakravarthy.
Definitely will walk into the 11.
Yeah, so that's the 5 bowlers, and 1, 2. You have to add Umesh Yadav also.
Yes, and now you have to retrofit an Indian keeper.
So that is an option. So I don't have to. So this is what then you have to play Sheldon Jackson, and I'll keep him as a floater to kind of bat only if required or something like that. If I open with Narine and I push Russell up, basically Jackson would fall into that number 8 category. This is what I would do personally. The other option which I can kind of think of is open with Rahane and play Sam Billings in the middle order.
Okay, so you're removing Jackson and
Hales. Yeah, that's the only other option I can think of.
Rahane, like to your point, we might not fit anywhere else apart from opening, right? So
Yeah.
I think with your initial team, I think we could still play Sam Billings, I guess, because we just had three foreign players.
No, we had
Three or
four.
four, na?
Russell,
Yeah.
Cummins, Narine, Hales.
Yeah, and Hales is actually in good form, so you might want to start with him and see how he
So
goes.
when you look at this first 11, it's a very good 11. There's no complaints about this 11. With either way you play Hales, Sahani or Jackson Billings, I think that's okay. Where's the depth? What happens
Yeah.
if Russell is injured? What happens if Narine doesn't turn up? What happens if Varun Chakravarthy is injured? That's where I think they kind of missed a trick. So a lot of things have to fall in place for them. If it does, well and good. If Hales can keep, for example, I can even sneak in another Indian batter or all-rounder, someone we can play an Anukul Roy. Or you can add some kind of variety there, but we'll have to wait and see what they do.